So this idea of setting expectations in a classroom makes me think that this could be applied to a lot more than just the occasional like multimedia project. When a professor comes into the first day of class and wants to explain what the class is about to this new set of students, what advice would you have for them when it comes to setting expectations so that they feel comfortable with that system? When they go onto Blackboard, they feel welcomed by that menu that they created. What sort of things can they sort of just get out of the way up front or continue to express throughout the class to make students feel like those expectations are clear?
Yeah, that's really important. Now, the thing is, it really depends because we've gone into a situation where we're teaching in lots of different environments. So we're teaching in person,
Yep.
we're teaching remotely, live, synchronous, and we're
Yep.
teaching remotely asynchronous.
Right.
So I think that your Blackboard course site is supposed to be, it's supposed to reflect the course that you're teaching. So if you're teaching asynchronously, your course site's going to have to be much more involved. It's going to have to be much more directive than if you're teaching a course in person.
Right.
And so that's something that a faculty member needs to keep in mind. What are they teaching? How are they interacting with the students to begin with? So if you're in a class, if you're in a classroom and you're talking to students, using the same terms in class that they'll be seeing on the Blackboard site is really important.
That makes sense.
Being consistent on the Blackboard site is also really important. So if they've got, Module 1, Module 2, Module 3, and they're calling things certain things, so if they're calling it, course readings, they should maintain that language from one module to another.
Right.
And if they've got assignments, they might want to make sure that those look the same from one module to another, just so that the students are used to seeing these things. You have to remember, students are taking 5, sometimes 6 courses a semester.
Yep.
And each of these Blackboard sites is going to look a little bit different.
Right.
So the site that there's no way that we can get faculty members to create sites. Faculty member A is not going to look like faculty member B's site. So there has to be an internal logic to your Blackboard site that makes sense from one module to the next. And it basically has to be taking the student's hand and say, here is what you need to pay attention to in my course site. To have 5 course sites that are all just basically like closets that you throw stuff into and ask the student to go ahead and find stuff is really unfair to the student, and it makes things really difficult for the student.
Yeah.
So communicating those expectations and making sure that students understand where they're going to find things, when things are due, and that's basically, I think, the main component. Where are they going to find things, when things are due, and how does success look? What does success look like in these assignments, in these projects?
Right.
So those are really important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And as someone with ADHD, when I go onto Blackboard and log into these different sites for the different classes that I take, it can be hard to figure out what I should be doing and making sure that like the reason that I entered that Blackboard site is completed, if that makes sense. So having that sort of like navigation that is just smooth and it like you can get to the current week's work just makes sense. Like that is how it should be laid out. And I hope that we can make more tools for professors so that they can do that more easily. So that does sound like it is a challenge for professors who maybe don't have the same experience on like Blackboard or other online tools.
Right, because a faculty member knows what's going on in their mind, and the thing is, they want to just get the content in there, and they want to get it out there, and they figure that students understand this stuff better than they do.
Right.
That's not true, and not only is it not true, but now the student is being asked to decode the faculty member's internal workings. Right. How does this person organize their thoughts, and where should I find things?
Yeah.
And that's always going to be a challenge for students to have to do that, not just in one course, but in multiple courses each semester.